for Scrum Masters, it can be really tempting to want to facilitate everything within the Scrum framework. And sometimes that can be the expectation. Like, you're the Scrum Master. It's your job to do the facilitation. But then there's others who will say, no, it's actually not your job to facilitate all the things. You should, coach others and share the love when it comes to who's running what events and stepping into that facilitation stance. So what do you guys think about the balance between that? Scrum Master taking on that facilitation versus putting others in the hot seat of facilitation? What do you think?
Well, my thought is going to go back to a question we had before about basically, do you want to ever take a vacation? Like, what's going to happen when you're out? What's going to happen when you've got the flu and the team's got to facilitate their own events? Is the entire team just going to reschedule everything because you're not there? And that might sound crazy, but I've had that happen before.
Yep.
Scrum Master's out sick, team reschedules all the events. So I'm sorry, one person is not that important when it comes to facilitating events. We just need to make sure that you have them, they stick to the time box, they're positive and productive. And so as a Scrum Master, your first job, in my opinion, is to teach people how these events work, why they're important, how to keep them to the time box, and then slowly start backing out of them. Maybe rotate the facilitation. If Susie wants to take over the retrospective this week and Ralph wants to take it on next week, why not? You get different perspectives. You can make it kind of fun, maybe even compete with one another to see who can have the most lively retrospective. I know that's something we do, right? We rotate facilitation of our retrospective, and it's fresh and different every single week.
Yep.
So that keeps us all a little bit more engaged, and it keeps it kind of fun. But back to this dependency issue, like you as a Scrum Master want to create a system that runs healthily without you, not necessarily always being the center of attention by facilitating every event.
Mm-hmm. Digging that response. So if I were to be very pedantic about the question, is like, what is the balance? I'm going to say the pivot point is on team maturity. Are they able to self-manage and facilitate? And if they're not quite there, what Robb said is 100% what needs to happen. You facilitate until they begin to understand and can facilitate their own. Those softer skill or people skills are absolutely critical in the modern day, where we're headed with the rampancy rate of change. All those things are going to necessitate the type of facilitating skills that a Scrum Master should embody. So eventually letting that go and letting them self-manage is huge. The consequence and a positive result of this then is now you're able to work more with the organizational side, which is a leveling up of responsibilities while the team can manage itself. And so that's pretty cool. I like Robb's answer. I say the pivot point is team maturity.
Yeah, I sometimes get a similar question along this line is a Scrum Master supposed to work themselves out of a job? And, I could save that answer for a future video, I suppose. But my answer to that is that even a Super Bowl winning football team needs a coach, right? And so just because your team is super mature and is well versed at using the Scrum framework doesn't mean they no longer need a Scrum Master. But to your point, Greg, they're probably not hand-holding the team through the basics anymore. And they're spending more and more of their time tackling the bigger organizational-wide impediments and looking for ways to innovate in the agile adoption of this, of this organization. So I think there is a balance here, but you have to shift your focus from, I have to provide value. I think a lot of the times Scrum Masters keep the facilitation to themselves out of a fear state where it's like, if I'm not the one leading the retrospective, people are going to think I'm not worth it anymore. And it's like, if you operate from that fear perspective, sure. But if you are confident in your ability to provide value, both with the team as well as with the organization, then I think you can get out of that fear and start to spread the facilitation around. So I think I would weigh on the balance more towards coaching others on how to do this facilitation and less on I have to facilitate all the things.
If you like this video, just leave us a comment. And if you got some positive feedback, we'd love to hear it. And if you've got some negative feedback, well, we'd love to hear that too.
And be sure to check out our description. We have our email list there and our upcoming classes so you can upgrade your knowledge and work on a certification.